Hey Wolfpack, Angela Wolf here, and we are behind the scenes in my studio today. Michigan is hot, rainy, and humid. So, good day to go sewing, right? Actually, I'm organizing the studio. I've got a lot going on right now. So, I kind of cleaned an area behind me just so you could see it. And I thought I found a great project for you. So welcome, say hi. I'm live streaming on my YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch pages. So I can see all of your comments except Twitter. I don't think I can see Twitter through here. So I see you all rolling in. Okay, we've been doing a wardrobe planning in the Fashion Sewing Club. And I kind of encourage everyone to start digging through the closet. You know, COVID is, I'm not going to say it's over, but now we're actually getting out. So my closet, I have to move the leggings to the side and try to find some outfits to wear. But casual and comfortable, right? So this week, I'm really into skirts. I know. They're comfortable. I can wear them, dress them up, dress them down. I can make them out of knits. So a couple of things. Today, I have one of my favorite episodes of It's So Easy that I'm going to watch with you. And then I can take your questions because it was a short episode. Skirts. All right. In Fashion Sewing Club this afternoon, all of you know, I sent an email out, so check your junk box. I will be adding you to our live session. We are going to make a waist fold over knit skirt. It could be any length. You could use it as a bathing suit cover up, a dinner outfit, running to the grocery store. I just find that the reason I always grab leggings, I don't know about you, but the reason I always grab leggings is because they're pretty comfy, right? So now I'm trying to grab comfortable skirts. It's summer. With a tank top or with a top, and I can run to the grocery store, run errands, or any of those things. So Fashion Sewing Club, that's this afternoon at 4:30. I had to change the time if you were watching. It's on the Google, but it's today at 4:30 and Eastern. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to show you how to draft the pattern, tips for sewing it, and ideas for fitting. So you're going to draft your own and sew it. Now, anyone who's not in the Fashion Sewing Club, I have another skirt for you. What about skirts cut on the bias? Yes, that's a very comfortable skirt as well. You can make it out of a knit. You can make it out of a woven. It just has a beautiful drape. Now, bias kind of freaks everyone out a little bit. If you don't know what bias is, think of your selvage. 45-degree angle is how you cut your skirt or top or whatever you're working on. And the bias actually allows your garment to stretch a little bit when you put it on, but it drapes beautifully. Okay. Anybody know how long you're supposed to let your outfit hang if you cut it on the bias before you hem it? Any suggestions? Because I've probably said this a million times. And if you have ever cut anything on the bias like a skirt and you hemmed it right away and then you hung it up, what happens the next day? It grows. It gets longer. It definitely gets longer. Hey, Cindy, Fashion Sewing Club. It is at 4:30 Eastern today. And I sent it in the email yesterday or Monday. I can't remember. Happy July 4th, by the way. Oh, hey, Diane. That's very early right there. Very early. Thank you for getting up so early to watch us. I'm waiting for your comments. I can see them. All right. So you remember the bias skirts? 2 days, Donna says. 24 hours. Danny, you got it. You got it. Actually, quite a few of you. Marcy, at least overnight. Yes. So if you've never done that before, it literally, you can almost watch it growing. I know, it's almost like a plant, which I'm not very good at. So yeah, 24 hours. I see a few of you saying a couple days, whatever, as long as it's 24 hours, right? So happy to see you too, Lorraine. Definitely. All right, so let's take a look at this episode. Peg, great to see you too. Almost had a drive-by from you, a flyby this weekend. We were just in the wrong location. Sharon, how do you join the Fashion Sewing Club? Here, I'll give you a link. You can join monthly or annually. But let me give you a link real quick, and then we'll watch this bias. Because if you join now, you can join us this afternoon. Now, all the sessions are live, but the replays go up in the website right away. So there you go, Sharon. I just popped that in there. Good morning, Dalia. Zena, yes, something on the bias. Something I agree, Arnell. All right, let's take a look, and then you can ask your questions because this is from It's So Easy, but usually that episode's on PBS, and I can't take your questions. So let's take a look. Maybe. I love technology. All right, let's try that again. I'm like frozen, totally frozen. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Angela Wolf, fashion designer and online instructor, and we are in the next stage of our skirt sew-along. Today, we are cutting on the bias. This is the exact same skirt, same pattern that we cut out in the last episode, but we are cutting the skirt on the bias, which is a little bit different. Notice how it hangs. Here's one I have that I've already cut, and look at the difference. It just drapes beautifully. The reason this is hanging is because this has to hang 24 hours before you hem it. So let me show you the difference of this skirt and what we did last time. So here we have the same exact skirt like we did before. The difference is that we cut the skirt on the grain line. So here I have my fabric. Here's the selvage edge. So you have to just picture in the last, for a regular skirt, we laid it out just like this.
All right. Just like this. That is not going to help you very much, right? Because you couldn't really see. So those of you that are wondering, I'm using the Kate skirt. The Kate skirt is just a classic style, somewhat of an A-line, but not a total A-line skirt. And you'll see how I changed this to be able to cut it on the bias. But when I say cut out just like this, if you watch any of the previous episodes of It's So Easy, and you can watch all of these on my YouTube channel for free, Fashion Sewing Club, they're in there for easy access as well. But we took the Kate skirt and we sewed many variations, adding pockets, adding buttons, all of those things. So this one is on the bias, and you'll see when I said last time we cut it like this, I cut it right on the grain line, right next to the selvage. So let's go back and take a look. And I'm cracking up, by the way, at your comments. Who is it? Mary Stevens. I'm just dying laughing with you. Ask me how I know bias is from a prom dress from hell. I am with you on that. Mine was a wedding dress. Maybe not really from hell, but it was by the time I had spent hours hemming it, and then it grew. Lesson learned at the beginning of my career, right? Hey, Karina. Nice to see you, and thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's go back. Oh, Terry, you all are so great. Yes, you. By the way, Fashion Sewing Club, you got a huge discount this month. Did you notice that? Because July, Christmas in July, and plus I have a big fishing tournament. So I figured I would give you a bigger discount just because maybe it'll be lucky, right? All right, so let's take a look at the rest of this.
Now it's going to be a little bit different, and it gets a little tricky. So I have two different rulers to give you an example. A quilter's ruler sometimes has a 45-degree angle at the bottom. I thought that was going to be a little bit hard for you to see, so I just went ahead and cut this one up. So what you do is you line up the grain line the way it used to be, and then here's 45 degrees. So why don't I go ahead and just use this is actually a fabric pen, but it works on paper too, most of the time. That's all I'm doing is making a 45-degree line here. And that's my new grain line. I'm going to do the same thing to the back piece. And that's my new grain line. So that's the main difference. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, there's a few other tricky things to it. I have this entire fabric folded one layer. You can't cut this on the fold. Well, you can, but if you mess up just a little bit, it's not pretty. So now we have one half of the skirt. How am I going to?
All right, do you know what I mean by when I say if you mess it up? All I mean is that if you don't get that fold right on the 45-degree angle, what happens is you're not really on the bias. You're kind of just off grain. Have you ever cut something like that? Because I have, not on purpose, but I was in a hurry and I was trying to cut a top. And instead of cutting it directly on the bias, which is 45 degrees, angle different than your selvage, I cut it kind of skewed. I didn't have a lot of fabric, so I thought, let's see how this works. Well, it didn't work very well. It was kind of on the bias, but it didn't drape well. One side hung different than the other. It was really odd, very odd. So Zena, what's your question? Do all fabrics stretch out like that on the bias? Yes, they do. So what happens, Zena, is if you were to hold any piece of fabric, here's my little towel here. I'll use this as an example. It's my fishing towel. Put an angel on it. All right, so let's just say that each side is the selvage. 45-degree angle, like that. Here is the bias. If I were to hang this on the bias, it actually drapes totally different than if I were to hang it right here. So just grab a piece of fabric, Zena, and just hold it on the bias and just watch the drape of it. So this afternoon, by the way, Zena, in Fashion Sewing Club, I'm going to show you how to cut one of these skirts. You don't have to use the bias, but you could. That's why I wanted to show this first to everyone, because this is a free episode. And then we'll get a little more technical in the Fashion Sewing Club about the bias, or maybe just using a knit. But it does make your fabric, it doesn't change the hand of the fabric where the fabric all of a sudden becomes stretchy. It just changes the way it wears. So check this out. At a 45-degree angle, watch this. See that little stretch? So it really can adapt to fitting your body really easily. And that's why bias cut gowns are absolutely beautiful. Now, if I had this on the straighter grain, look at no stretch, no stretch. And this is just like a cheap towel. Stretch. So that's a big difference. All right, keep asking your questions. I'll keep rolling through, and let's see what's next on this.
I'm going to cut out one half of the skirt if I don't have it on the fold. Well, I'm going to start by taking the pattern and folding it along my new grain line. It just makes it so much easier. So I'll start with the first piece. Move some of these things out of the way just a little bit here. I have a cutting mat under here. I'm not just cutting on a plain table. And if you look on your cutting mat, that also usually will tell you where the 45-degree angle is. So I'm going to take this, and if you're really unsure of where your 45 degrees, try to get your mat lined up where you can match this up. So this is going to line up with a straight of grain on here, if that makes sense. So go ahead and slide this down. I find it the easiest to draw around this. So here is just around the edge. Now this is a fabric marking pen, meaning that it will go away in 24 hours. Just be sure to test it. Every once in a while there'll be a fabric that doesn't like to cooperate. Okay, and I'm going to cut right to that edge here. Notice, look at how easy this is with the rotary cutter. I'm cutting around and around. The next thing I want to do is just take my pattern. See those two lines here that we made? That's the fold of the pattern. Don't move the fabric. And then flip this way, lining that right back up. Now I'm just going to throw a few pattern weights here because I don't have quite enough room to do this whole piece right here for you, but you get the idea. So then I'll cut around here, and that's one piece. Now this is on the bias. Notice how that stretches. That's why I was mentioning you need to have it hang before you hem it.
And I see a great question from Anne. By the way, Michelle, I will try to find photos of some of those wedding gowns that I made that were on the bias. And Michelle, by the way, thank you for my beautiful cup. It's in the dishwasher right now because I've already been drinking out of it. And I'm finishing up all of my little thank you notes to all of you. It might be a while because there's a lot to thank you all for. But Michelle, thanks for that beautiful cup. Loved it. Cardinal. Beautiful. All right. I just saw a great question on here. No. Oh, I agree with you, Marcia. Oh, here it is. Anne. Sorry. I know you were there. I just had to figure out which one. So, Anne, this is your question. Do you have to change the size from a normal size, like the size I'm going to say that you normally cut when you decide to go on the bias? Well, actually, Anne, I usually drape when I'm cutting on the bias. So I'm not always starting with a size, but there where I'm using the Kate skirt, I will typically go up, I will cut one size larger. Why? Because I could always bring that in. But when the fabric drapes like that, if you don't cut a size larger, what happens is, well, I'm considering this is a fitted garment. If your garment isn't fitted, then don't worry about it. But the Kate skirt is fitted up at the top and through the hip area. If I don't cut a size that's bigger, or at least angle my seams out a little bit, what happens is when it's cut on the bias, it will almost cup like elephant ears. And it pulls. It's very unattractive. You might know what I'm talking about if you've ever done that. So that is a great question, Anna. And yes, I actually do usually try to go up one size. All right. Any other questions for me? Hi, Trudy. I see you all rolling in. Even if you're late, you can go back and watch the replay. But ask your questions. I'll keep playing this, and I'll stop when I see one. All right.
And even before you sew the seam. So let me just go down here real quick and show you a seam. Right here, do you see how wavy this is? That's really bad. So I'm just going to take a little seam here and show you something. When you're stitching on bias, when you sew, you want to allow the fabric to go. Do you see how I'm just letting it stitch? And you want to use a very thin seam allowance. I'm just going to go down here and just show you the difference here. See how this piece sticks open? So if you were to put this on your body, you would have lumps everywhere. Now look at
you'd think I'd come up with a little better words on PBS, but lumps is the only thing I could describe it as. So Marianne, a great question. What fabric am I using in this episode of It's So Easy? It's a rayon blend. So it has some rayon, polyester, and I believe it had a little bit of linen. So it just draped beautifully, but it was a little thicker than a typical knit. It was a woven fabric, no stretch to it at all until you turn it on the bias. Great question. But for what could you use? You could use anything from something that's really beautiful on the bias is anything with chiffon, silk charmeuse, a rayon. Any of those look just beautiful. What about a tweed? I absolutely love tweeds, as you know, with my couture jackets, but a tweed skirt cut on the bias is absolutely beautiful. Not only that, it gives a whole different look to your skirt. So if your tweed normally looks like this with your grain, once you turn it sideways, all of a sudden the weave looks like this. It's very flattering, very cool. Absolutely. All right. Let's see what else I have to.
the difference. I haven't even pressed this yet. And see how when it's just a very small seam allowance, it just stays open like that? So much easier. So that's how you can take that entire skirt we just had, cut it on the bias, and end up with an entirely different look.
All right. I told you that was a short episode, but sometimes with PBS, when I was on there, there'd only be a little segment that I could be on. Like maybe I had to fill in for a 5-minute position or a 7-minute position. So you have to get a lot in that. So this episode right here is on YouTube. I will find that episode. Here you go. I'm going to put it in the link below. So if you want to go on YouTube, you can go save that episode, and you can even watch all of the others before it and after, all dealing with the Kate skirt. Kate skirt's a great thing to sew in the summer for sure. Although I sew it in the winter too. All right, Diana, doesn't the skirt have a zipper? Yeah, it does. Let me just read. That writing's really small on my screen. If it stretches on the bias, won't it be larger anyway? Understand the drape. Okay, so it will stretch a little bit, Diana, but it doesn't stretch evenly like a knit. So the bias will stretch a little bit, but what happens is it actually skews the fabric a little bit. So if at the bottom of your hem, it has this beautiful drape, and up here at like maybe your hip area or something, it's tighter, it just pulls funny. You have to just trust me, because I've designed so many of these. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm sure there's like a logical reason for it, but if you give yourself just a little more fabric, then it drapes instead of pulling. So it does. So stretch probably isn't even the correct word. It stretches in length, grows in length, and through the side, you just have a little bit more flexibility, but you don't treat it like a knit fabric because it will drape weird. You'll end up with little like bubbles in your butt, literally. And we don't want that. So this one did have a zipper, and I could have done the zipper on the side or made a center back zipper. Either of those are fine. I usually will use a hidden zipper when it comes to cutting something on the bias. And also I use a little strip of interfacing to make sure that fabric isn't stretching when I put that zipper in. So yeah, hope that helps there. Michelle, how does that look on heavier woven? You know, it actually, I've cut bias skirts made out of like wool, cotton. Wool was probably the heaviest, and it really looked nice. It just, remember, however thick your fabric is, though, it adds to your circumference of your body. So one wool that I made was really thick. I really didn't like it very much because it kind of added 10 pounds, but I still wore it, but I was very creative how I wore it. So I wore boots with it and a thinner top and a jacket. So it kind of covered up how thick that fabric was. And it looked great. It really looked great. Oh, thanks, Trisha. Just watch. For the next 2 weeks, it's going to get lighter, lighter, lighter because it's sunny out and I'm walking like every day out in the sun or on a boat. It turns like really light and then I go back to the hairdresser and make it back my normal color. It's like, what day of the week is it, right? Oh, Arnell, you do remember it. Yeah. So Diana, did that help a little bit on the talking about that? Oh, Ivy, you're up at 5 a.m. to watch. Yeah, I think, we aren't recording the It's So Easy episodes anymore, but it's still, I think for another 4 years, we'll be on PBS, if I'm correct. I see Mary is asking Donna, you guys must live close to each other in Minnesota, which would be very cool. Karina, could you make a Kate skirt out of a knit without a zipper? Yeah, you totally could. So, Karina, if you decide to do the Kate skirt without a zipper and you do it out of a knit, you probably would not, you could just cut your normal size because you're going to lift it on. Actually, Karina, what we're doing this afternoon in Fashion Sewing Club, you're basically taking something similar to the Kate skirt and adding a waistband that's a tall rollover waistband. Let me see if I have a photo here. I don't remember if it was this computer. No, it's not. It was in the Fashion Sewing Club newsletter, the skirt that we're making. Now, I probably won't do the maxi skirt. I might do a shorter one, like right to my knee, but you have a lot of flexibility. Once you understand how to measure, cut the skirt out of knit. So for Karina, you could do it on the bias or you can just do it on a knit, doesn't matter. But yes, you can use the Kate skirt, just no zippers. There you go. You got it, Avy. It stretches like a finger puzzle. It grows in length and narrows in width. Perfect. Perfectly spoken. All right, Don, what do you have for me? I've heard that when you cut out a garment on the bias, it's a good idea to let it hang overnight before sewing. What's your opinion? I agree, Don. In fact, quite often, if I'm making a skirt or when I was doing a bridal, I would cut it first, but I would also drape on a dress form. So what I would usually do is drape it on the dress form and then let it hang. I'll pin it right to the dress form and let it hang until the next day, and then I would work on it the rest of the way. So I agree. I don't always do it, but I agree. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Jenny, did you see my note? I hope I'll be able to see you in Texas this year at Houston Quilt Fest. So in case you didn't get the newsletter, you can email me and I'll send you a copy of it. But it went out on Tuesday. So a couple announcements. Houston Quilt Fest, I will be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday this year. So in the All Brands booth, we're going to have some fun things planned for the Wolf Pack. As always, you'll get to see all the new products coming out. A few other things. Some of you are asking, when are the new Brother products coming out? Well, I can't tell you what the products are. I don't know all of them anyways, but I wouldn't tell you anyways. I can't, right? But the first week of August, we're going to be in Nashville with Brother, and we'll be doing a lot of live streams. So you'll be able to see all the new products coming out. So you can mark your calendar for August for that. And then what's the third one? Road to California. I have a link right here for you. Here you go. Classes are open, and I have 4 classes, 6 hours each day. So they're a full day. We'll hang out together, and I have a surprise for you. Some of the classes are really detailed. You're actually doing embroidery. You're making a jacket in one. You're embroidering. You're making a top. Well, 6 hours is not a long time to do all of that. So I'm actually preparing online classes for some of these to go with it. So after you see me, You can go back and follow along to finish making the outfit if you don't finish, or if you decide you would like to embroider the whole time in some of these classes and you say, you know what, I'll make the jacket later, there'll be no problem. So each class is different. There's a knit top with embroidery, there's a jacket, there's a skirt, all of those things, but I'm adding the virtual aspect as well. So when you leave class, you know, if you ever leave some of these places, your mind is blown with all the information you have. So it's a little bonus. It's not listed in the class, but I'm giving you all, the Wolfpack will all know this now. That way, if you decide to go and you want to keep embroidering because you're using some of the top of the line brother machines, you can, and you won't miss a beat. All right. Oh, I hope you can too, Dalia. Oh, is that where you live? I guess I forgot about that. I knew you were in California, but I wasn't sure there. Oh, Deb. Yeah, that would be great. Unfortunately, when we're there, we're working the whole time, but you never know. Will I be there at the expo, Mary? Which one, Mary? Let me see which one you're talking about. Do you know anything about Expo 2023? So I'm only doing Road to California in 2023. I don't know anything about the Expo in Puyallup as far as in March. I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know if it's virtual. Usually I get an email, but last year I didn't teach, so maybe they booted me off the list. I don't think so. I'll email Katie and find out though. Yeah, Diana, the International Houston Quilt Fest, it's the first weekend of November. It's right after Halloween, if that helps. All right, any other questions about bias skirts? Oh, thanks, Sandra. Do you have any videos for making shorts for chunky women, please? Oh, I love, that's so cute. I do. Yeah. Does anybody remember what video we made those pants? I know we're going to be doing shorts in the Fashion Sewing Club after the skirt. That's next for summer. We were going to do that in June, but then we got too occupied with wardrobe planning. And then, of course, family events happened. Will you add another dress in Road to California? Will you add another dress? What do you mean, Lynn? I will have a display of outfits at Road to California. So you will be able to see that. That will be there over the weekend, I believe. If that's what you meant, Lynn. But I'll check to see if you write another one. Hey, Lou. I love how bias looks too. It's so elegant. It really drapes so beautifully. All right, let me see what else you have here. And I like how biased looks. It hangs well, but you have to make sure to cut a bigger size. Yes. And yes, Lou, that's what I was saying. If you don't cut the bigger size, what happens is it kind of pulls the fabric and it's not very attractive. So you do 2 sizes bigger. Well, you know, the good news is you can always make it smaller. You just can't make it bigger. Right? There you go, Mary. I thought that's what you were talking about. I haven't heard anything about it yet. Cindy Ball, what's coming up in Michigan? Well, there's a potential class in my studio. I put in the email. That is going, the second class is already sold out. That was the second week of October. Then there's one the last week of September, limited to 8 students. It's tentative though, because I'm waiting to hear about my final filming plans for that month. So if you're interested, you can email me for details, Cindy, but it was that's the only 2 things in Michigan that I will be partaking in. Terry, Fashion Sewing Club is, yes, 1:30 California time, Pacific time. Oh, thanks, Ibby. I will keep you in mind. Oh, Marcia, isn't one of the classes a dress? Oh, is that what Lynn was asking? I don't think there was a dress. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay, hold on. One of the classes is a dress. It's a tank dress. It's super, super cute. Well, I'm a little biased. I made the dress. Here you go. I'll show you a picture of it, all right? It's, let me see which page this is on. All right, so here you go. I'm going to share this Here you go. Here's one class. This is one, you've seen me wear this shirt, and many of you have asked for this, how to embroider on knits. So you're actually going to embroider on knits. You're going to learn how to embroider on knits. You can do the whole sleeve. You can do all the fabric. You can do a few of these. Fabric is included in this class. I will have different colors of ITY knits for that, and some rayons, because you're going to learn how to embroider on knits. And then you can make this top. That's one thing. But embroidery on knits can be a really tricky thing. And I know we do a lot of this in some of our other online classes, but this one's in person and you get to use some of the best machines, which is kind of cool. So, all right, so that's Monday's class. Let me see Tuesday's class. Or actually, I think that was Tuesday's class. Sorry, that was Tuesday's class. Did you meet Cody? Were you all here last week? Did you see Cody? Was he the cutest thing ever? Oh, thanks. I love this top too. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Clovis. Nice to see you. All right, let me find this dress. I'm scrolling through here. There's a lot of cool things on here. All right, here you go. This is the dress. It can be a top or a dress though. So it's a tank style. I had somebody asking if I would show how to add like a bra inside of it, like a built-in one. So yes, I can add that to this class as well. So this is going to be a really cool class. Easy to do. You'll learn how to work with knits. Someone said, will there be cover stitch machines there? I would hope so. I'm working on it. I don't know why not. So you're going to be using a sewing machine with this and also the cover stitch. All right, so that's one class. And you'll learn a lot about fitting knits and things like that as well. All right, so that's on, I think, Wednesday. Yeah, and then we have Thursday. Just bring this up real quick. Here you go. You might have remembered I'm using the Kate skirt in this. We're going to be embroidering the fabric to design your own fabric. This is actually a skirt that I made very similar to the Kate, where I added pleats to the front, but you're going to learn how to embroider on fabrics and make a really cute skirt. So it's definitely for a beginner class, but the embroidery is where you're really going to learn a lot, how to embroider different fabrics for your skirt, how to pick placement, things like that. I couldn't resist having a lot of embroidery classes at this event, because I know you're going to be working on a great machine and we can all embroider together, which is kind of cool. All right. And then all of the supplies there's kit fees for that, but I'm bringing all the supplies so you don't have to worry about bringing anything to the class except for like a pair of scissors and yourself. All right, let's see. I think there's one more here. There's one where we are going to embroider tulle sleeves and make a jacket. Here you go. Embroider on tulle. You remember a lot of this. This is a project I'm working on right now. And then there's one of the wedding dresses I designed years ago. So you're going to embroider on tulle, learn how to embroider on tulle, and then you'll get a jacket pattern with it with a front zipper. You probably won't finish the whole entire jacket there, but then there will be a virtual class that goes with it. All right, any other questions about that? I'm reading all your comments. Yeah, you're welcome, Sandra. Oh, thanks. I know, Cody was adorable. Absolutely adorable. Thanks, April. He was so excited. And you all were so nice to him. I love Florida, Zena. What part of Florida are you in, by the way? Oh, that's funny and so true. So true. Can you show me the skirt, please? Hey, Diana, did you get it on there? The Kate skirt? Yeah, Don, we're sewing a skirt today, this afternoon, Don, in Fashion Sewing Club. Yep. It's a knit one, but you don't have to use knit if you don't want to. But the style, since we're adding to the wardrobe, it's made out of knit because it's going to be a very simple skirt, but it drapes beautifully. It could be dressed up or dressed down. Okay, thanks, Sheila. A lot of you are in California. Oh, yes, nice to see you. Okay. Any last minute questions before I let you go? Do you ever teach in Canada? I have not yet, Vicki, and no plans to for this year. Mary, can you take that class if you're very new to all of the classes, by the way, at Road to California are for beginners. Because, I mean, you could be more advanced, that's fine, but I really wanted it to be geared towards beginners because so many people are afraid to start embroidering. You're afraid to do garments and things like that. And I thought this would be a great way. I'm bringing the fabrics and the samples. And so if you screw up, I just give you more fabric. So definitely, it's definitely for beginners. But you could be advanced too. All right. Hey, Esther, great to see you. Brenda, can that dress pattern be ordered? No, it can't at this time. It's just going to be for that class. Can a sleeve be added to the dress? Well, you could technically, Delia. I actually made it, it's a racer back style. So if you wanted to turn it into with sleeves, I can give instructions on how to alter the pattern for that. But the pattern is actually for more of a racer back style. Yeah, Marcia, I do. It's a knit. And there'll be a few different knits. And so as soon as people sign up, I will be emailing them. Now, of course, the classes are limited in size. So because there's only a certain number of those fabulous machines that we can fit in one room, by the way. I believe we're using the Luminaire. That's the rumor, which is awesome. But you need a lot of room for those hoops and everything. So, and for the dress, you're not necessarily embroidering, although there will be time if you decide to add some. I didn't put that in the description because I never want to give something I can't deliver on, but I think you'll get some tips for that too. The dress is going to be very cute, but it could also be a top that you maybe wear under a sweater or something like that. So hopefully that helps. And yes, I supply all the fabrics. So as soon as people sign up and I get their email addresses, I'll be contacting you and giving you some ideas, what color do you want and things like that. So I kind of work with you a lot before we actually get into class. All right. Any other questions? Oh, thanks, Peg. Disneyland for sewers. It kind of feels that way right now. I've got all my filming gear up. I've been working on a lot of projects here. Oh, Marcia, would love to see you at Road. I heard it's supposed to be a wonderful event. I'm very excited to go. Karina, but I need that dress pattern. Oh, gosh. Hey, Susan, nice to see you. Yeah, you could adapt the lacy with a longer length. Kind of. All right, everyone. Any other questions for me? Otherwise, thank you for watching that episode with me, the bias. If you have questions on the bias, I still, even if I know a lot of you have to come back and watch the replay, I always come back and try to see your comments and questions. How about coming to Lakeland, Florida? Actually, I drove through there this year. That's a beautiful place, but I had no plans for 2022 for that. But I'll keep it on the list. Hey, Joanna. And Karina, I thought that was a good idea too. Maybe we'll have to do that pattern hack. But today is the Skirt and Fashion Sewing Club. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anybody else? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to run. And if you have questions, I can't wait to see you guys this afternoon either. So have a wonderful day. I will just pop this up. If you want to join the Fashion Sewing Club, just go to angelawolf.com. If you want to watch any of my old YouTube videos, there's a lot of It's So Easy episodes on there. You could binge watch for days. Don't forget, there's a discount for everyone this month for the month of Christmas in July. Everyone gets a 20% off. Fashion Sewing Club, you get 30% off. So check your email for your codes. Again, Fashion Sewing Club, you always get something that well pays for what you pay. All right, everyone. I hope to see you all soon and have a wonderful day. Oh, Zena, you're welcome. You're welcome. Joanna, great to see you. We're talking about bias skirts today. It's super fun. I agree. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon. And tomorrow, by the way, is a show with Brother at noon. Sarah's going to be on showing embroidery on a lot of grilling things. It sounds pretty fun. So I'll see you there. Fashion Sewing Club, see you in a couple hours. Bye.